You ever have one of those nights where the world feels perfectly still, so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears, and then suddenly it flips on its head? That was me. 2 in the morning, knocked out cold, wrapped in my favorite old quilt, and then the sound hit. Wood cracking, hinges snapping, like a shotgun blast tearing through the silence. My eyes flew open, my chest felt like it caved in, and for a second I swore somebody was breaking into my house. I jumped out of bed barefoot, the floor colder than I expected, and there they were, 3 figures already inside my living room. 2 of them in dark polo shirts with bright yellow letters across their chests. HOA security enforcement, the third a uniformed cop. Flashlights slicing across my walls, blinding me, catching family photos, glass frames, and then my face. I yelled, "Who the hell are you?" And one of them had the nerve to wave a laminated badge like I was supposed to be impressed. Noise complaint, ma'am. Multiple calls about loud music. I just stared at him, half laughing, half shaking. It's 2 a.m., genius. I was asleep. The officer tried smoothing it out. "Ma'am, if you could just cooperate. We'll make this quick." Quick. They'd already kicked my damn door in. My hands were trembling when I pulled my robe tighter, but I wasn't about to let them see fear. And that's when the shorter guy's flashlight froze on the coat rack by the door. Hanging there was my old jacket, navy blue, bold golden letters stitched across the back. Not just any jacket, but the one I earned from 12 years working as a federal analyst. His face drained like someone pulled the plug. Suddenly the room shifted. All their swagger disappeared in 5 seconds flat. "You like what you see?" I asked, crossing my arms. The taller one swallowed hard. The cop cleared his throat and said, "Gentlemen, step outside with me." And just like that, the big bad enforcers shuffled out like school kids caught smoking in the bathroom. My heart was still pounding, but inside I was grinning. That jacket had done more than any shouting could. By sunrise, though, it wasn't just my doorframe splintered open, it was my reputation. Word spread faster than wildfire. Neighbors texting, Facebook threads buzzing. Why'd the cops raid her house? What's she hiding? She works for the feds, right? Half the block thought I must have done something wrong. The other half whispered about how the HOA crossed the line. And of course, Karen Delaney, our HOA president, the queen of pressed cardigans and fake smiles, wasted no time spinning her version. Multiple noise complaints, officers acted responsibly. Please. When they called an emergency HOA meeting, I wasn't planning to go. But my neighbor, old Mr. Howard, knocked on my door and said, "You don't show up, they control the story. Don't let them." So I went. Walked into that clubhouse like I was walking into a courtroom. 30 neighbors staring, some with sympathy, some with suspicion, and Karen standing up front smiling like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. She starts her little speech. "We regret the property damage, but safety and peace must come first." And I stood up, slow, steady, and said, "Peace? You call it peace when men kick down a woman's door without a warrant? When they saw something they didn't expect, a jacket that reminded them I know the law better than they do, and suddenly the noise vanished. You really want to talk about peace?" The room erupted, neighbors gasping, whispering, some nodding in agreement, others frowning like I'd just cursed in church. Karen's smile cracked, just for a second, and Howard jumped up too. This wasn't enforcement, this was harassment. Then Angela, a nurse from down the street, spoke up. I was awake. There was no noise at all. That was the moment the controls started slipping from Karen's hands. But trust me, she wasn't about to go quietly. The next week, it was like a war of paper cuts. HOA violation slips slapped on my door, trash cans, lawn edging, porch lights. One day I had 4 notices at once, totaling hundreds of dollars. And when I didn't pay, a letter threatening to slap a lien on my house. That wasn't enforcement, that was punishment. Then came the anonymous calls, the SUV parked across the street at night with tinted windows, the whispers at the grocery store. "That's her, the FBI lady, trouble follows her." I'd dealt with threats before in my career, but this was different. This was home. One night, I caught a man in a hoodie picking my lock. My training kicked in. I called 911, confronted him. He panicked, blurted out he'd been paid cash by a woman in an office downtown to scare me. By the time the cops cuffed him, my hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. The next morning, Karen sent out a neighborhood email calling it an unfortunate incident and warning people not to speculate. Oh, I speculated plenty. But the HOA wasn't done. They filed an actual lawsuit, claimed I was defaming them, disrupting the peace, not following bylaws. That was their big play: drag me into court, bury me under legal fees until I broke. But they underestimated me. I had a decade's worth of experience working cases, gathering evidence, and I had neighbors willing to testify. And when Karen's husband took the stand, swore under oath he'd personally heard loud music and shouting from my house that night, my lawyer pulled out the official HOA report. His name wasn't listed anywhere. The courtroom went silent. He stammered, turned red, tried to wiggle out, but the damage was done. Their credibility cracked wide open. That hearing was like a movie scene. Me standing taller, the jury whispering, Karen's lips pressed so tight they turned white. For the first time, I felt the tide turn. Neighbors who once doubted me started leaning in, eyes wide, like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the villain after all. Outside, reporters shoved microphones in my face. How do you feel about the HOA's testimony? I just said, calm as I could, the truth doesn't need spin. It just needs daylight. But here's the thing. The fight didn't end in that courtroom. It spilled out into the streets. Karen organized a protest right in front of my house. Neighbors holding signs. Keep our neighborhood safe. Pay your fines or move out. Some screamed at me. Others just looked uncomfortable. And I walked out on my porch, looked them dead in the eye, and said, they broke into my house at 2 a.m. If they can do it to me, they can do it to you. Today it's my door, tomorrow it's yours. You could see it land, like a stone dropped into water. Some folks lowered their signs, others just yelled louder, but the crack was there. That's the story I'm still living in, the one that started with a busted door and turned into a neighborhood civil war. On the surface, it's about noise complaints and bylaws, but underneath, it's about power, fear, and what happens when someone refuses to roll over. I don't know how it ends yet, whether justice wins, or whether the machine crushes me under the weight of its rules, but I know one thing. They picked the wrong woman to corner. And now I want to hear from you. Was I right to stand up and fight back, even when the whole neighborhood felt split down the middle? Or was I making things worse by dragging it into the open? If it were your home, your door kicked in at 2 a.m, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see where you stand. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA nightmare, share your story too. Trust me, you're not alone.